YouTube? It is Mr. Mean coming at you this July 4th, 2019 from Duluth, Minnesota, which really means that it is Independence Day and I have the day off. I hope everybody is having a wonderful day. It is currently 10 o'clock, I believe. 10:21. I am celebrating Independence Day by relaxing and enjoying my family time. Wife is making breakfast. Kid is running around being a monster. We're doing all the fun stuff. The camera's crooked. It drives me nuts. Let's get some housekeeping out of the way on this happy 4th of July Independence Day in the United States of America. I want to say a big shout out and a thank you to everybody. I think we're up to like 517 subscribers. So little by little we keep inching up. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much. It means a lot that you would sit here and watch me ramble and babble while I make these videos. As always, like and subscribe. Hit the bell to be dinged when I dong. I'll put all the notes down in the doobly-doo. What can I say, man? It's great. I got a new job. Life is going good. My son is doing awesome. He's getting big. If you want to help support the channel, Zelly Pay. I'll put notes down in the doobly-doo. Zelly Pay is a free way for you to help support the channel. I appreciate everybody who does it. It allows me to go out and do cool things like this. Unity. I ran across this on miniaturemarket.com. Shameless plug for miniaturemarket.com. They're having a big summer sale right now. Like awesome, crazy prices. This book normally retails for $57.99. I got it for like under $25. So this was a Kickstarter. I never heard of it. I think I did see the Kickstarter, and I was like, I don't have the money. I'm not going to do it. And, you know, I kind of kick myself now because after looking at the book, and as you'll see, it's gorgeous. So as always, like and subscribe. Man, I'm all over the place this morning. I apologize. I just woke up. I'm still working on my coffee, so good morning. I'm going to give a crazy, super cool, awesome shout out to Mr. Brian. Izzy, you know who you are. Peace and love, brother. Happy Independence Day to you. Thanks for sending the care package. He texted me last night to tell me he was cleaning out, I guess, his game library. He found some stuff that he thought that I would like and or review for the channel, or he just wanted to send it to me because he's a super awesome guy. And so thank you, Bri. Appreciate it, brother. Love and happy Independence Day to you, man. And give that doggy a pet for me. Brian hadn't heard of Unity, so I turned him on to it. So hopefully he'll check it out and give me his thoughts on it. First and foremost, this is distributed by Modiphius. I'm going to do a separate video on Modiphius because these guys are gangbusters. They are just, I mean, they're getting licenses left and right, and they're becoming a production house. They're becoming a force to be reckoned with. They kind of remind me of Fantasy Flight Games, and the way they do things and the quality of their product. So, without further ado, let's take a bigger look at Unity. This is produced by Zensara Studios, mom and pop studio. I don't know where they're out of. It retails for $57.99. But that being said, you can order it from their website, and again, I'll put all the links down in the doobly-doo. You can order it directly from their website. You can order it for a PDF watermarked, which I like, watermarked from Drive-Thru RPG for $24.99. It is available on Amazon for the cheapest price I found with Prime. Why would you buy it any other way? I guess you could buy it without Prime if you're not in a rush for it or anything, for $42.41, which is, I mean, that's, you know, that's what, $12, $15 off the retail price. So that's a pretty good price with free shipping. So that's a bang for your buck. We're looking at 367 pages, full color. I did go online and look at a couple YouTube videos. There's not much out there. I was trying to find a live play or a recorded play session of the game to see how it plays. I mean, you could always read the rules, but it's not the same thing as seeing it actually in action. and I don't know if this will be one I'll be able to get to the table myself. I do have a new gaming group. We meet every Friday, so tomorrow night's my game night. We're playing Midgard by Kobold Studios. I highly recommend the setting. If you're a big 5th edition fan and you're looking for your own setting, then go back in the archives, check out my reviews of the Midgard setting. They've got several books out for it and a bunch of splat books and stuff. Kobold Press does a great job, and it's predominantly by Wolfgang Bauer, and it's really, really well done. So anyway, I didn't know anything about this. I mean, the cover is very striking. As you can see, it's kind of got that embossed, where the rest of the cover is a matte finish, and then the prime characters on the front are glossy, as well as the Unity logo. And of course, on the back there, we have the Queen, the Night Queen, I think she's called. I can't remember. I did watch the owner of the company open up his proof copy that he got back from China for printing, and pretty cool. So it comes with a ribbon, which is nice for a bookmark. You can see I've been kind of reading it. I'm about three quarters of the way through the book. So let's get through the basics. It is hard copy, gorgeous. It is stitched and sewn and glued on there, so it's not going to fall apart anytime soon. I've been flipping through it. I have no problems with it. Full color. The inside is the map of the world, which is really well done. It is full color throughout. It is on thick paper, not glossy, so you don't get a lot of reflection. The colors are vibrant. I don't think they oversaturated or used any one color too much. I think it's a kind of muted colors, earth tones, a lot of grays, a lot of blacks, a lot of dark blues, some purples and some red. I mean, look, this is a excellent image right there. That's one of the player character classes. This is a D20 game. You will need a full set of polyhedrals. You will want to roll high, if I remember correctly. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I should have checked that before. Page 250. Full index, full glossary, which I'm a big fan of. I really like that when books do this, because it's a great way to find stuff either way. Resolution. So I'm sorry. It's 2D. It is and it isn't a D20 system. It's D20 in the fact that, or it's a 20 system, not a D20. It uses 2D10. 2D10. Let's see here. Let me find it here. So the GM will assign a target number, and then you will do 2D10 plus your modifiers, negative or minus, and you're looking for overcome. So you want to roll high. So rolling high is good. So 2D10 plus or minus modifiers, and you hit you'll hit your target number. So a basic difficulty in target numbers is 2d10 plus relevant attribute plus any bonuses that you get. This is where this game shines in your bonuses. You have like backgrounds, and in those backgrounds, you could say veteran of Thousand Nights War. You can make something up, or pull something from the fiction. Survive the streets, of the major city. I'm sorry, I don't know the locations yet because I haven't gotten that far into the book. Survive the streets of Fenris. Whatever, and you're allowed you're allowed 2 for free, and then you can pick a third one, but you don't get any points for it. Or you get points for it, but you have to take a drawback or something, if I remember correctly. And I apologize, I haven't got a chance to run this or read the rules very solid. But what I did read, it really did pique my curiosity. But what you'll do is a very in-depth character creation process. So 2d10 plus or minus any modifiers that can be attributes, stats, background points, or whatever. And basically anytime you can tie in any of the events of your past. So this game really endorses storytelling, which is great. Of course, you have some players that are not big into, telling stories or whatever. So they'll just say, I'm going to use this modifier, and they'll give a total, and then they'll roll their 2d10, and they'll either meet or exceed the target number, or they won't. The main rule is GM diceless. You set target numbers, you don't roll any dice. But there's a large section on GM mechanics if you want to roll dice. I prefer to roll dice. I do like game systems that don't that are based on me not rolling dice, like Simba Room is a big one. I think Coriolis is another one. I can't remember right off the top of my head. But Simba Room is the top one that comes off to my head. I think Mutant Year Zero is the same. I don't have a physical copy of Mutant Year Zero. I do have a PDF of it that I picked up on a flash sale or something. I haven't had a chance to read it. But I do like that when the GM doesn't have to roll dice. And I mean, you could do D&D that way as well. Have the players roll a defense roll. I mean, there's rules out there for it, but I do like that they give you the option. And this book is, to me, is really laid out very well so far. I haven't tried to make a character. I will try to do that maybe over the weekend or in the next coming weeks. I'm hoping to pitch it to my gaming group and see if they want to give it a try. There are some one-shot pre-gen characters in here. And so I would like to give them. There is also, if you go to their website or Drive Through RPG, there's a free primer, like a demo that will give you the game. I'm going to download that and probably run that adventure, and it has pre-generated characters. So I think that's really cool that they did that. Other than that, there's no GM screen, there's no splat books. This was produced in 2018 via Kickstarter. There is a plate in the very back of the book that lists all of the people that did the Kickstarter. And that's the only reason I know it's a Kickstarter. I went to Kickstarter.com. I couldn't find anything, so I don't know if it's just fallen off their radar with the number of projects they have. But that it is what it is. So the mechanics are pretty neat. I think they're giving out really well. Character creation is very in depth, but not so in depth that it's going to be tedious. So this is not a D20 game. So let me retract that. It's a 2D10 game. But you have the possibility of rolling, 2 10s as a 20. I did not see where they talk about crits and failures, critical successes and critical failures. I didn't see that yet, but I'm assuming it's an ability. You can roll your attributes. You only have 4. You have might, agility, mind, and presence, and they range from a +2 to a -1. And so the standard array is a +1, +1, 0, -1, or option 2, +2, 0, 0, -1. And you would put those in those 4 attributes. So, if you want to be a Furian is one of the races, and they're very bestial, very, very, they're honor. So think samurai and, lion man kind of thing. And they're very much all about honor and tactics in combat, but they're very brutal in combat. In other words, their theory is if you go to war with us, we're going to kill you. Now, that being said, they have honor, so if you surrender, they won't keep slaughtering you. They will recognize an honorable surrender. They just but in the meantime, it's balls to the walls and we're killing everybody. So Furians make obviously good frontline combatants, so you would want to put that, if you take option 2, you'd want to take that +2 and put it in your might or your agility to make you a really good fighter. They have clerics in the game, they have priest. It's really cool how they do it. I gotta say, I'm really impressed with the character creation. You choose a race, just like every other game, you choose a race and then you choose a class. There are perks in the game, but you don't get access to the perks until after level 1, because you start off with quite a bit. These are very functional, viable characters. I don't think you could make a useless character in this game unless you go really hard out of your way. But the races are the Vala, the Furian, humans, and the Afflicted. So 4 races, 4 attributes. You get the theme here, numbers of 4s. They give you a breakdown of the character sheet and tell you what everything means on it. My only pet peeve is, and I could figure it out, on the NPC or the pre-generated sheets, they're not done in the character sheet format. Pet peeve number 1. If you're going to give me pre-generated characters, have them done in the form of the character sheet. That's going to give me and new players, and someone who's never seen this game, a point of reference on what and where everything goes. Now, they get a pass on this part because they do give you a breakdown of the character sheet and kind of tell you what everything means, and there's a legend. But then they give you the pre-generated character, which looks nothing like the character sheet. So you have to decipher this into this, the character sheet. And I think it's not well done. Because there's a plus symbol here. Can't see it. There's a plus symbol right there. If I could get my fat finger, there's a plus symbol. Well, I'm smart enough, and most of you are as well, to know that that probably means health points. But there's nowhere in the book where it tells you that. So if you're new to tabletop gaming and you're picking this up for the first time, you're probably not going to know what that 15 number means. I mean, the helmet you can kind of figure out as armor. The little guy running means your speed. The sword means, your combat. The shield means your defense. And the icon of a brain means your presence or your mind. Your presence. And of course, you have your attributes. And then your resource fervor, your weapons, your armor, your gear and recuperations, and then your racial traits, your class features, and then your class perks. You get backgrounds. They give you 6 backgrounds to choose from for each one of the pre-generated characters. So there's Cora. Well, Cora is the only pre-generated character to give you a judge, and they kind of use her as an example throughout the book. And then they go through the classes. So your class is the Dreadnought, the Driftwalker, the Fell Hunter, the Judge, the Mystic, the Phantom, the Priest, the Primalist, and the Sentinel. Pretty much all do what you think they do. If you think in D&D terms or Pathfinder terms, you're pretty spot on. The art is fantastic. I mean, look, that's just a cool picture right there. I will say that Zinsara Studios, whoever they got to do their art, you made some really wise choices. The art, as my normal book layout critique goes, I like consistent thematic art that flows with the book or the premise of the book, and this one does it pretty much in spades. The only piece of art that I am not wild about is the tavern scene on the back. It just looks a little, for a game that's setting itself up to be very, very kind of dark and gloomy, and I don't want to say dark fantasy, but it's kind of leaning towards that way. That image, just the guy smiling with a cheesy smile on his face, just everything else is okay. It's just that picture, and it doesn't spark me. I don't like it. It's just me. That's my taste. You may think it's awesome. They give you a brief rundown on how to read a class. Very similar to D&D. I hate to compare this so much to D&D, but I think it's a good comparison because not everybody likes D&D. I'm one of those people. D&D is a fine game. I don't have any problems with it, but I think there are better designed and implemented RPGs, and I think this might be one of those. But they went with a layout that's kind of similar to D&D, without saying it's D&D, because it's not D&D. I don't want that to come across as I'm comparing this to D&D as a clone. This is its own game. It just, in this day and age of 5th edition being so prevalent in the market right now, and being the big boy on the block, I think they give homage to D&D, and they used a layout that's kind of similar to D&D, and a lot of the layout reminds me of 4th edition D&D with the way they do their little stat blocks and tables, and I think that's really cool. I'll make sure I put links down in the doobly-doo. That's my kid screaming because he's not happy. I'll put links down in the bottom in the doobly-doo for the free primer. You can get it off of DriveThruRPG and their website. I'll put those links down there. But they do. They tell you how to read the class tables, which is really nice, and tells you, this is what you get at this level. And there are basically 10 levels to every class, and you go from there. So the Dreadnought is exactly what you would think, a frontline fighter. The guy takes a lot of damage and deals out quite a bit of damage. And it gives you a little background on them, your standard RPG layout. And then it goes into the class layout and everything that happens when you choose that character. So you get, they give you, the name, they give you the little circle. I like the layout. Your starting hit points is 14 plus your might. Your recuperation die is a D10. That's basically your hit die. Your armor options are light and heavy. Weapons are medium melee and heavy melee. Resources, Fury 6, and then 1d4 recharge. we'll get into those kind of cool mechanics. Your main attribute is might. You're all about, you know, the physicality. You get class features. All dreadnoughts come with the following features as part of their baseline power. Not every class gets this. Sometimes you have to make a choice, or like if you're going to be like a priest, you can be like a war priest or a cleric, and each one has one feature, and you can choose that, and then it breaks down from there, and it kind of gives you that option here in the advancement table. So at level 2, this gives you everything for level 1. So your advancement table starts at level 2. So once you make level 2, you'll be able to see you get a hit point boost, you get your core path point, and then you also get a tier 1 token. And I apologize, I don't know what the token is. I think that's one of the token powers. So kind of like 4th edition, where you had different power sets, you know, like a daily power and all of that. They kind of do that here, but they're not limited by like a daily power or an at-will power. It's just abilities that you get, and it tells you when you can use them. They never come out and say a long rest or a short rest, but it's in here. You have to take a rest, and you know, you can use it. So going with the Dreadnought, the 2 powers you get at level 1 are Shield Breaker and Cleave. So you strike with such force that even the thickest steel bends before your might. Effect: your melee attacks gain +1 armor penetration, allowing you to ignore 1 armor value when calculating damage. Shield Breaker does not provide additional physical damage if the target has no AV. It only ignores what AV the target has. And then it tells you the bonuses increase to blah when you level up. So you get a +2 at level 5 and a +3 at level 9. That's for Shield Breaker. So if the target has no armor, you don't get that extra +1 bonus. That's only for bypassing armor. And as you can assume, you do damage, you subtract it from their AV, whatever gets through is how much damage your opponent takes. So the Dreadnought is the guy that's going to wade into the heavily armored targets and start smashing them. And then he gets Cleave. Wild swings and sweeping strikes are the hallmark of the Dreadnought fighting style. What could be better than slicing through your enemy, slicing through a bunch of them? It costs 2 Fury, and if you remember, one of the resources up here was Fury. Every class has some sort of resource that they use, and then they have an ability to regenerate that resource, and sometimes that ability comes from using their powers, or it comes from taking a short rest, and they get to roll a recharge die, which in this case for the Dreadnought is a 1d4. They limit this, and I like it because it's an amount of it's a governor on that ability. So this guy, he can wade into combat and he can start cleaving left and right, but he's only got 6 Fury points. It costs 2 Fury points to do this ability. So at the start of any encounter, he's only going to be able to do it 3 times. So if he's fighting through a wave of guys to get to the big bad guy, the player has to make a choice. Do I burn all my Fury to get to the bad guy, or do I save it, hopefully be able to mow through these mooks, so that when I get to the main bad guy, I've got my Fury? Or does he use a little bit here and then a little bit later, and then once he takes a rest, he can roll a 1d4, and however many points he rolls, that's how many recharge of Fury he gets, which he adds it. Of course, you can't go over your maximum, so 6 is his max. So if he only uses 2 points of Fury and he rolls a d4, he's back up to full. You roll your basic attack, but you roll a 1d4 to determine how many adjacent enemies are struck by your attack. On a success, you deal 1d10 plus HL. I've yet to find out what HL means. I've been looking, and I haven't run across the term yet. I'm assuming it's health level and damage. If you fail, you do half damage. I like this. They obviously took this straight from D&D. I like there's a positive and a negative. If you hit, great, you do this. If you fail, you still do something. It may not be as much, but you still do something. So that's your class features. That's what every Dreadnought's going to have right out of the gate. But then, and this is where I like the system where it kind of shines, no 2 Dreadnoughts are really going to be the same because you get different abilities. So you get to pick a perk. Every class gets a perk, and some get multiple choices, some only get 1. So you'll choose a perk, and then you get class features. And like in this case, at level 1, choose 3 tier 1 powers with no upgrades. So the tier 1 powers are listed below, and you get to choose, and it tells you what to pick. And it's got quite a few, and like you can see, here's the tier 1 powers. So it's pretty awesome. And so you do all of that, and you go through it, and there's tier 2 powers, and then it goes to the Drift Walker, and basically your Drift Walker is your Drift Walker. And here's another cool thing: each class gives you why you want to play this class if you like X. So play a Drift Walker if you like the idea of a dark caster that receives physical augmentations for a price. A high-risk playstyle involving trading life force for power. So it's kind of like a warlock, basically, in D&D. And it goes through again, and you get your advancements and your tiers and everything. You get all that. So it's very cool. The Fell Hunter. Play the Fell Hunter if you like a ranged death dealer that is not a caster, a character with great tragedy built into their past, planning your moves ahead, and proactive playstyle, navigation, and tracking. So it's basically your hunter, but with a very dark theme. Some tragedy happened in your past that led you to this Fell Hunter. You're basically the demon hunter from Diablo, is basically what I think of it as. So yeah, and I mean it goes on and on. You get all your powers. There's guns in this game, so if you don't mind, gunpowder in your fantasy games, you'll be a fan of this. If you don't like it, you can always omit them. I'm sure there's probably a way. The Judge is pretty solid. This is pretty much your cleric, and the Judge has a choice to make when you create. You can be a zealot. Well, you have 2 powers to start with. Zealot is a passive power, and it tells you what it does. And then you have Holy Smite, which cost 1 fervor, and you start with 6 fervor. They recharge on a 1d4. I'm not sure if all the classes are the same there. Let's check the next one. The Mystic, and the art for the Mystic is very cool. I like that, the green tinge, which always to me says magic, green glowing, runes and stuff. But that's your arcane spellcaster. Their resource, they start with 10 points of mana, but they recharge on a 1d8. But of course, mana is their thing, so obviously they're going to have more than, say, the Mystic, more than, like, say, the Dreadnought. The Phantom is basically your assassin. Again, they start with Guile as their resource, and again, it recharges on a 1d4. Tells you their main attribute, and yeah, it just goes on from there. The art again is very, very nice. There's your Priest, which I like. Reminds me very much, Diablo or World of Warcraft. That kind of, even somewhat D&D. It tells you about the Priest. Now, the Priest is one of those class features where you choose either or when you make your Priest. So you're either a Chaplain, which goes along the line of your healer, or a War Priest, which is like your battle cleric for D&D. They both get to heal. It's just the Chaplain does it a lot better than the War Priest. The War Priest is kind of splitting his focus on combat and healing, whereas the Chaplain focuses pretty much on healing, and he or she can, of course, battle and do that. So they give you they give you a word on guidance, which is one of the powers to tell you, hey, this is something to be careful, make sure your players don't abuse it, that kind of thing. But the art, like I said, a lot of full-page art panels, really well done. The book is just, I haven't gotten to the bad guys, the nemesis, if you will, but here's an orc chieftain, and they give you a layout of the stats and everything. So, yeah, I don't see any problem. Just really well done. So, guys, it's a buy in my book. I think I've been enjoying what I'm reading so far. I pretty much have been reading just the mechanics. I'll go back and read the world setting here. Like I said, I'm in the middle of a Midgard campaign. I have session 2 tomorrow night. I'm pretty excited about it. But this is one I kind of want to get to the table. I'm going to download that primer and see if the players want to dive into it and check it out. So that's my thoughts on Unity. It was a Kickstarter. I didn't see it, didn't know anything about it, never saw any ads for it, but it's out. It's physically out. I'll put the links on the places where you can buy it and get your copy. I think everybody will enjoy it. If you like that kind of high fantasy with a little bit of a dark flavor, I think you'll enjoy it. Zensara Studios, produced by Modifius. It's gangbusters, man. It's awesome. The art looks great. The world setting, I don't know too much about it. Download the PDF copy yourself and give it a view and let me know what you think about it. Did you back the Kickstarter? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you feel you wasted some money? Do you feel you got bang for your buck? I feel I got bang for my buck, but again, I did not pay full retail. But Mr. Mean very rarely pays full retail because that's just Mr. Mean. So guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're having a safe and sound, happy 4th of July, this Independence Day. And be safe out there if you're doing fireworks tonight and everything, or if you've got little ones, kids are attracted to bright lights and they want to go out and grab the sparklies and stuff. Use caution and safety around that. Let's not have any trips to the hospital. I hope all my meanies are safe and you guys have a great Independence Day. As always, peace and hair grease. I love you guys, and remember, be nice.